Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is important. 5 reasons why today is a really big day in prophecy, as it might actually be proven to be bigger than what I'm even about to tell you. Okay. Reason number one, the Israel-Hamas war ends. Okay, so big deal. Well, I talked to my Hebrew tutor. As I've told you, I'm learning to read and speak Hebrew. And she lives in Israel. And so I was doing my Monday morning 10 o'clock tutor with her. I've just had, I guess it was number 7. She says when I hit 17, 17 lessons, I would be able to go to Israel and stumble through and have a conversation with most people. Anyway, so I talked to her, and she says in Israel this day, Monday morning, there was great rejoicing, obviously, all across Israel. But she made an important point. She said, now I'm going to guess most Americans hadn't caught this. She says, of course, the war started October 7th, 2023, which was the 8th day of Sukkot, the last day of the feast of Leviticus 23. And it just ended on September 13th, 2025, which is, according to their calendar, the 8th day of Sukkot, meaning. She said it started and ended exactly 2 years apart on the same feast day. Now, that's not on the Gregorian calendar. It's not our calendar. That's their calendar, which is based upon the movement of the moon. But here's the point. She says that almost no one in Israel is counting this an accident. They're all saying that this was the hand of God, that this started and ended basically on the same feast day. That's big. Okay, now, Israel, she said, do not think this is just an accident. Some say it is an act of God. Of course, there's some people don't think anything of it all. They're just, secular. Okay, so if it was an act of God, what is the act? All right, let's go on to point number 2. So, did the covenant just gain many nations? Now, I personally do not think that the peace treaty between Israel and Hamas is the event that starts the tribulation. Why? Let me show you the scriptures in just a second. All living hostages are back in Israel. Their physical and mental condition is good, says Israel Hayom. By the way, Hayom means today. One of the things I learned about speaking Hebrew. So, is today the start of the covenant? I didn't say the start of the tribulation. Start of the covenant. Israel-Hamas war ending? Yeah, I don't think it was the start of the tribulation. But the Abraham, or Avraham is the Hebrew way to say it, the Avraham Accords strengthened. Now, what are we talking about? This is really important. Daniel 9:27, the first part of this scripture, tells you what to look for. This tells us what makes the tribulation start. This, and along with the first seal opening. But the problem is, we don't know when the first seal opens. But we will be able to see this, hopefully. So what does it say? And he, that green he represents the Antichrist. And he shall confirm. It did not say it's a peace treaty. It did not say the Antichrist starts it. It did not say he even signed it. It's simply that he confirms it. That may be a wink or a nod, or maybe he just goes along with it, okay? So the Antichrist will confirm a covenant with many. Now, we believe for many years I've been teaching this way, but now we see it. It's many nations. It's not just Hamas and Israel, okay? It's many. 2 is not many. Many nations. Now, right now, there's 4 nations in the Abrahamic or Abraham Accords. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and Bahrain. Right now, there's 4. But I just saw today President Trump encourage many of the Muslim Arab nations to join it because essentially what that accord is saying is they respect Israel's right to exist. Big. That's huge. That is the thing that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What that's saying is there won't be an Israel. In other words, from the Mediterranean Sea all the way over to the river Jordan, it's all Palestine. What it's saying is there will be no Israel. Well, let me just tell you, The Bible says that the sun, moon, and the stars will dissolve, but there will always be an Israel. Bible does not promise that there will always be an America, and there won't be an America one day, but there will always be an Israel. There won't always be an Iran, there won't always be a Saudi Arabia, but there will always be an Israel. Don't ever, ever turn against Israel. Anyway, so it says, and he, the Antichrist, shall confirm the covenant. Notice it says covenant. It does not say peace treaty. I know you watch. There's going to be a lot of prophecy teachers come out and say, oh, this is it. This is the start of the tribulation. This is the peace treaty. No, it doesn't say peace treaty. It simply says covenant. And the Abraham Accords may be that covenant because it's already 4 nations and he's asking more to join. And it says for 1 week. That week, I just went over this with my Hebrew tutor, and she confirmed this, okay, from the Hebrew understanding. For 1 week, and I said that week in the Hebrew is Shabuah, which means 7. And she said, Tov Miod, which is right on, okay. And in the midst of the week, in other words, in the middle of the 7 years, okay, there's 7 years, in the middle of the 7 years, the Antichrist will sit on the Ark of the Covenant. I'm not going to explain all this. And he'll cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And as I told her this morning, as she already knew, they haven't sacrificed animals in Israel for over 2,000 years now, but now they are in a position to start sacrificing animals for the first time in 2,000 years, not just an accident. Now, there's more. Let's go to number 3. Silver is about to skyrocket. Is that important? Big, big, big. Now, headline, Australia Mint halts all silver sales, no silver available to buy. Okay, you remember supply and demand? Okay, so the more oil there is, the lower the price is. The less oil, the higher the price. The more eggs, the lower the price is. The fewer eggs, the higher the price is. Supply and demand. Okay, so when they stop selling silver, what happens to the price? Can you guess? I'm giving you a hint here. Australia's Perth Mint, trusted worldwide, has fully suspended all sales of silver products. Not a single coin or bar leaves the facility, effectively erasing one of the world's key sources of new physical silver supply. And you can pause and read the rest of it, but I won't be able to get through everything I need to get through today. But the point is, silver is in short supply. This goes on to say, physical silver shortage hits London. Lease rates in London have exploded to 39%. If banks can't find the metal, they'll be forced to buy back futures or actually deliver actual silver. It's a demand-supply squeeze. Imports are restricted till March 26. In other words, just like Shane Warren told us, silver is going to skyrocket. London's paper silver crisis, India's physical scarcity and policy bottleneck, a lot. Funds in the country of India have now halted investing into silver ETFs. This is big news, okay? I've never seen it in my lifetime. So what happened? Okay, this is a fulfillment. As you recall, July 10th, 2012, Shane Warren came to Prophecy Club, made a DVD, which you can watch at watchprophecyclub.com. Just go watchprophecyclub.com, type in Shane Warren, pops right up. You can watch it. $20 a month or $200 a year, watch some 300 DVDs. Anyway, he said, now, a couple of things I want to show you, a couple of words here. See that first line where it says storm? Okay. He said he saw a satellite image of a storm. Other prophets have said it was like a perfect storm. Now, what's a perfect storm? A perfect storm is when there's like 2 or really 3, maybe 4 events all happening at the same time. In my opinion, that perfect storm is in the early phases of forming right now. So he said he saw a perfect storm, financial storm, covering America. Then he saw a New Madrid earthquake because we split Israel. Then he saw that they started selling, the nations of the world started selling oil and other currency other than the dollar, devaluing the dollar. Now, let me summarize that. Financial storm, earthquake, devaluing of the dollar. Then he saw financial riots. Okay, so right now our government is shut down. And it could very well be, here very shortly, we could see people out holding up signs, give us our entitlements. My point is, this whole prophecy may be about to fulfill. Goes on. He says, I saw silver, not gold, but silver, begin to drastically increase in value. Well, la-di-da. See, we've been hearing this since 2012. We've been scratching our heads saying, man, how are you going to get silver to go up like this? And all of a sudden, boom. We wake up this morning, Monday morning, and all of a sudden silver is going up. So silver skyrockets. Then he saw people protesting, give us our entitlements. This whole Dodge thing, a bunch of people got fired and quit, but now the whole government shut down, so it could be a whole lot worse. July 6, 7, 2025 was when the Saudi Arabia stopped selling oil in another currency, in only dollar, now they're selling in other currency, meaning all of this prophecy could be, and probably is, in process of being fulfilled. Then he said he saw churches become cities of refuge. He saw great miracles return to the church and saw sports stadiums filling up. And that's what we're looking forward to. Now, let's go on to the next point, miracle revivals. Number 4, stocks and crypto crash. Whew. Did you hear what happened Friday? Oh, let me tell you. Looks like a lot like 1928, before the Great Depression hit. If you take a minute and actually look at that headline, look at that newspaper, that's not a spoof. That's actually a copy or a picture of the actual Brooklyn Daily Eagle of October 24th, 1929, when the stock market crashed. Do you remember Brandon Biggs? This is the guy that saw Trump shot in the right ear 3 months before it happened. He said that there's going to be a single event that is going to cause the stock market to crash. Is that single event hitting, or is it about to hit? Now let's go on to the next article. Historic financial carnage. More than $1 trillion in market value is just wiped out in a 24-hour period. Was this just an isolated incident, or is this the beginning of the big crash? The carnage that we witnessed on Friday was absolutely breathtaking. The largest single-day wipeout in the history of cryptocurrency industry was accompanied by a bloodbath of epic proportions. Many investors that were very highly leveraged got absolutely monkey-hammered. Never heard that term before. In particular, wave after wave of forced liquidations caused a cascading cryptocurrency crash that was unlike anything that we had ever seen before. Now, let me mention, BlockTrustIRA.com, according to Jonathan Rose in his interviews on Prophecy Club, said that those people that buy the crypto through them, take their advice, get it protected by AI, and the point was that they would see something like this coming and get people's cryptocurrency out very quickly so they wouldn't lose as much and maybe hopefully not any. And that was BlockTrustIRA.com. Okay. Approximately $19.2 billion, mentioned Prophecy Club, $19.2 billion in leveraged positions were suddenly liquidated. And as a result, the collective value of all cryptocurrencies fell by almost $800 billion in just 24 hours. $800 billion. Think about that. That's a lot of money to lose. The cryptocurrency market suffered a massive wipeout, erasing nearly $800 billion in value within 24 hours, around $19.2 billion. This was basically a 1929 event for cryptocurrencies. I wish that I was exaggerating, but I'm not. Some lesser-known tokens lost nearly all of their value. Okay, there's more. Headline, silver supply crisis deepens in London. Inventories plunged 33%. Okay. If you got plenty of oil, the price is low. But when it starts getting short, the price goes up. Everything here says to me, and I'm not giving financial advice, oh no, the government come after you if you give financial advice, you know. A historic silver squeeze is unfolding across global markets. One that analysts say could reshape the precious metals landscape for years to come. Prices have surged past $50 an ounce, vaulting silver into territory reached only once before in history. This is not a speculative anomaly, but a convergence of structural factors, or what we call the perfect storm, that together point to a profound global shortage. I hope you're listening. The perfect storm, there's the words. Perfect storm of supply and demand pressures. Multiple converging trends are tightening the silver market simultaneously. So, you folks that just bought some silver, you're probably smiling right now. Persistent supply deficits. For several consecutive years, global silver demand exceeding 1.16 billion ounces annually has outstripped mine production and recycling, leaving a cumulative deficit of nearly 800 million ounces. And this crisis is most visible in London, the historic center for global precious metals trade. Traders are now air freighting silver bars across the Atlantic to exploit massive premiums in extraordinary step typically reserved only for gold. One logistics executive confirmed traders are attempting, here it is, to relocate between 15 to 30 million ounces of silver. What does that mean? It means that some people are buying and selling silver like crazy. Means that it's probably in short supply. Means the price is probably going to be up if I'm reading what they're saying correctly. The London Silver Auction, established in, now listen to this, 1897, recently recorded trades above $50 for the first time ever. Well, gold just hit an all-time high, too. Now, again, gold, though it doesn't go up in price, silver may go up in price, but not so much. It's that the dollar is falling apart. For the first time ever, approaching the all-time high of 52.50 set during the 1980 Hunt Brothers episode, but unlike the 1980 squeeze, which stemmed from a speculative corner, today's rally is rooted in genuine structural imbalances. In other words, we short of silver. That's what they're saying. Market veterans call this a perfect storm, second time we heard that, of undersupply, industrial expansion, and monetary flight. And remember, I said that Tesla had come out with a silver battery. That was not correct. It's an aluminum battery. I got my silver metals twisted. It was actually an aluminum ion battery, but it's still pretty powerful. Anyway, industrial demand for solar panels, electric vehicles, and advanced electronics continues to rise sharply, which is why, if you haven't already called 800-200 gold, be a very smart thing to do. 800-200 gold, or if you want to get the prepper bars, 844-741-1776, or if you want to put some of your metal, gold, silver, rhodium, whatever, into a IRA that is cryptocurrency, go to blocktrustira.com. Especially if you have an IRA 401k, these guys can help you put it in either crypto or move your metals to crypto, or just buy crypto or buy gold, silver, rhodium, or palladium. Number 5, okay, crash, dollar crash. Now we're getting to where I've been telling you. Probably been telling you, there's been coming. So, is number 5 a dollar crash? A new financial system, a new government, massive arrest? Do you remember about a week, 10 days ago, had a program where this guy was a CIA guy, and he said he visited with Trump, and Pete I can't even pronounce his name right now. Director of War, there we go. And he said something's going to happen on or before August 15th. Now, in the last couple of days, I've been thinking, oh, well, it was probably this peace treaty with Israel. Maybe not. Maybe it is the new dollar crash, the new constitution, the new arrest, the massive arrest starting. Watch what it says. Okay, so now let me start with a disclaimer. I like Benjamin Fulford. I think he has a lot of good information. But there's a couple of things that I don't like, I disagree with, so I can tell you right up front what they are. He doesn't like Israel, and he thinks Trump is some kind of a fake. I mean, like a clone or something. Okay, so I just want to let you know, I don't always go along with everything these people say, but the part that I do go along with, I'm bringing it up. And he's not the only one saying this, and that's the reason I'm saying it. So he says, this week is crucial because the U.S. government defaulted, as we know, on September 30th, has been given until the end of this week, October 17th, to come up with the money before being cut off from the world financial system. That I did not know. and from trade with other nations, according to Asian secret societies. As evidence, this is, by the way, I had another article from someone else of also credibility, and they said this guy, Benjamin Fulford, has some really good sources. Listen to him. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. As evidence this is really happening, the Western financial markets began collapsing Friday. In less than 24 hours, the crypto markets lost $400 billion. We've talked about that. S&P 500 S&P 500 lost 1.2 trillion. It's no coincidence. These crypto and stock market charts look identical. The fiat casino, that's the point, the fiat casino is over. Now, let me show you. If you look at these two, what I want you to see is the yellow off to the right side. That shows you the top part is the S&P 500 index, and it crashed. Then the right side, which, by the way, now I understand that it's kind of rebounded a little bit. That's what it always does, okay? But what we don't know is if it's going to crash again. Then on the bottom there, you see it also crashed. Now, the point being here is these guys, experts, think that we are on the verge of a crash, like a 1929 crash. I think that the crash brings us into a new financial system. We talked about that too. There was an article that came out where the Russians said, hold it, we figured out what the Americans tried to do. They're trying to dump all of this $37 trillion worth of debt off on the whole world on our shoulders, and they didn't like it. Well, you know, most of that debt came from trying to help the rest of the world. So, my opinion, dumping it back on the world is not exactly a bad idea. Okay, let's go on. This came after China announced it was going to basically quarantine the U.S., this just the last 24 hours, quarantine the U.S. economy by completely cutting off rare earth metals supplies. The trigger for this collapse was the following. Trump posted, "It has been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade, in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world stating they were going to, effective November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, some not even made by them. This affects all countries without exception, and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Based on the fact that China has taken this up, look, are you seeing this? I mean, I've never seen this much hit all at one time. Moral disgrace, okay, not other nations are similarly threatened starting November 1st, 2025, or sooner, depending on whether any further actions or changes by China. The United States of America will impose a 100% tariff on China, over and above, in addition to any other tariffs we've set. We will impose export controls on any and all critical software. In other words, we may have just entered into a tariff war. Okay, what does that mean? Well, if you look at what Amazon sells, you see to the left there, most of what Amazon sells comes from China. Sad part is, most of what America buys comes from China. But I was watching this Besant Friday night on Fox News, and he said, well, we're in a much, much better position than China because we're the ones that buy it. And he says that's a better position. Now, a couple of other things I want to point out. This is still from Benjamin Fulford. Australian beef has replaced the U.S. supply in China since President Donald Trump returned to the White House. China has halted U.S. soybean imports to hit Trump's MAGA supporters. Also, U.S. retailers like Amazon are utterly hooked on Beijing. As the trade war gets ugly, more than half the sellers on Amazon are Chinese. So what is all this saying? It's saying we're heading to some hard times. But in that, there can be, look, what it is it's a change. Now, the 1929 crash. Now, everybody talks about how they lost all this money. Oh, crying, I lost all this money. Well, what you don't hear is the people that just got filthy rich. Okay, so when there's a big change, any big change, there's always people that get ahead, and then there's the people that fall behind. Hopefully, by listening to God's prophets, 2 Chronicles 20:20, believe God's prophets and so shall you prosper. Hopefully, by listening to the Prophecy Club, you put yourself in a position to where you're not going to be hurting. Instead, you're going to be very blessed. Let's go on. Without rare earth, this has still been from Fulford. Without rare earths, the automobile, semiconductor, military, and other industries would shut down, and China controls the supply. The result has been a U.S. surrender. There's going to be a high-level financial meeting today, October 13th, that could make a decision. And what could that decision be? If all goes well, a new white hat, M1, money guy, will preside over a worldwide jubilee. What? That's what Brandon Biggs said too. Coverstone said the same thing. A worldwide jubilee, cancellation of all debts, and redistribution of assets, just like we put on the program, 10, 14 days ago? Remember where the Soviets said, hey, they're going to redistribute all of this debt. They're going to put it off on crypto, and then they'll put it off on the whole world. Well, I think a debt jubilee, getting rid of all of our $37 trillion in debt and spreading it over the rest of the world is not a bad idea. Okay, let's go on. Cancellation of all debts and redistribution of assets. And there will also be war crimes tribunals. Wait a minute. War crimes tribunals. That's massive arrests, isn't it? Just like we've been telling you. Remember, I heard the words, massive arrests, massive arrests. The Jubilee is going to have to happen because Western financial markets are mathematically broken beyond repair. The countless quadrillions of dollars worth of derivatives in the financial markets are not backed by anything real, are joining together to develop an unified stable coin initiative. That's the big banks of the world. Okay, so the world is bailing out the U.S. zoo. The U.S. dollar is no longer backed by oil, so the U.S. has lost the ability to print money to pay its bills. In other words, the chickens have finally come home to roost. Last week, India and Central Asian nations abandoned the U.S. dollar and started paying for Russian oil with Chinese yuan. This chart shows that for the first time in 30 years, the world's central banks have more gold than they do U.S. treasuries. Now, what does that mean? It means that the U.S. dollar could be dumped by all of these treasuries quickly and easily, and that's probably exactly what they're about to do. They're going to dump it and start buying gold. Look. Now, what I want to call your attention to is the left side in the gold. If you look at the very bottom left, you see 1970, 75, 80, 85. Okay, that's how much gold. Most of the nations had a bunch of gold, didn't have too much treasuries. But you see, since about 1995 up to date, the whole world has been buying a lot of U.S. treasuries. What's U.S. treasury? It's basically buying our debt. We say, we're going to sell this treasury note. We will pay you X amount of interest if you buy it. And of course, they told people there's nothing more sure than the U.S. Treasury notes. Yeah, well, that's not exactly true. Now, if you look at the far right, in the red circle, you see for the first time the world is saying, we don't want your dollars. For the first time, the world is saying, I think I'd rather have gold than your U.S. Treasuries. We think, the world is saying, we think you U.S. treasuries are worthless, and we want to get rid of them. Now, I'd love to be able to tell you more, but I've run out of time. But apparently, massive arrests, Trump is king, these things we've been talking about, you can pause and read it if you want to. Apparently, these things are at the door. Just like we've been warning you. My suggestion is stop sinning, repent, turn to Jesus with your whole heart. My suggestion is make certain that you have done your best to get prepared for what is coming. And by the way, if God has blessed you, you can help Prophecy Club. Now would be a very, very, very good time to do it. Thank you. If you want to be on the end of making money, gold and silver is preserving your money. If you want to be on the end of making money, then you might want to call prophecyclubcrypto.com or actually go to it or call that number at the bottom right corner. Ask them about crypto if you're in the position where you can make money. When the suitcase nukes, I didn't say if, I said when the suitcase nukes go off, if you want your car to start, if you want your computers and your refrigerators and things like that, anything with a computer chip to work, you want to have one of these. From EMPShield.com. empshield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount, and it helps your prophecy class.